Hey everybody, before we get started, I just wanted to say if you enjoy our content and want to stay up to date with our videos, hit the subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Thanks. So, on to the video.
Hello everyone, this is Adrian from my channel Random Drop, and hey, I'm bringing you another Zelda review. But the thing about this review in itself is that I think I have a unique perspective on it. I am one of the few people out there, and there are hundreds of us that did not like Breath of the Wild. And maybe that's a separate video I could make down the line. Maybe I need to really go back and replay a lot of this stuff. But there was lots of things in Breath of the Wild I just didn't gel with. I'm not impressed by open world in itself. I think the strengths of Breath of the Wild are the systems and how they talk to each other and let you do some pretty wacky stuff back then, right? It was a lot more impressive, and the climbing and exploration, the dopamine effect of doing a shrine and then increasing your stamina or health, and the way the game just kind of I mean, the game's first mission is defeat Ganon, and you know where Ganon is. He's in the center of the fucking zone, and you just have to go in there and kill him. That is the whole plot, right? The game doesn't tell you really much of else. Hints you here and there, but hey, that is the structure of the game. I thought the game was overall okay, but it didn't blow my mind. I think really the dungeon design really killed it in Breath of the Wild. Also, the weapon degradation and how weapons had a very much a elixir effect from JRPGs or RPGs. An elixir is an item that completely restores your mana and health, and usually you would probably, I mean, how I play RPGs, I stack those bitches and never use them until I literally get to the hardest fight in the game, to where then I just unleash them, right? And I'm constantly, refilling my health and mana with elixirs. So you have that effect of like, oh, I'm gonna hold on to this and really till I really need it one day, and then that day probably actually never comes. And that's how I felt with the weapons, where I was using the shittiest weapons possible because I didn't want to use my good weapons. Because what if I fought something even harder and needed that good weapon? So that's a lot of my major gripes. Also, did not like the shrine system. The dungeons in itself, like how they were designed and like puzzles, they try to put puzzle elements in the shrines, which it ends up being like, hey, I'm playing Portal now and trying to figure out how they want me to solve this puzzle with the tools they give me, and some of them are very clever and stuff, but in the end, there's just too many of them, man. I spammed them because I wanted the fucking Master Sword, and sometimes you would spend a long time in a lot of them, and maybe I was just dumb back then, but also how like they were kind of hidden as well, and you use the sensor to find them. And in this game, dude, the shrines like have a big old green circle around them. You could see them from 10,000 years away. But I digress. Hey, Breath of the Wild, I overall thought the game was good. I think the most impressive systems are the things that like Genshin copied, and the exploration feel that they put into the game, they really nailed, right? So hey, here's Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is a improvement on all fronts, and I wrote a list here. So hey, let's start off, right? So one of the major improvements is that my biggest thing I love is that the biggest aspect of the game is the nuts and bolt aspect, right? You can kind of just like fucking build anything. And later in the game, you can build presets and things like that and history logs, but that's something you get later. But you have items and things like that, so you can build wacky contraption. I thought I was gonna hate this. I thought I was gonna absolutely loathe it because I thought it was just gonna be, I don't know, I just didn't want to play nuts and bolts. But how they kind of smooth you into it at the very beginning of the game, give you a little piece here, and the way you realize that the game is designed around these contraptions, right? But there are so many ways that you could just break it, and the developers were fine with it. You are so overpowered. You have the thing where you can jump through the bottom of mountains and shit like that, or platforms. The time rewind will solve 99% of the puzzles. I wish I recorded a lot of the solutions I thought by just using the time rewind, because you could just make floating platforms with the shit laying around because of how it works, right? So stuff like that. So whenever I get to a shrine in the game, I'm actually kind of excited because I have fun going in and being like, oh, this is what they want me to do. And if it's easy enough where like it immediately clicks, okay, hey, I'll do that. But if it's not clicking, I immediately look at my toolkit and be like, okay, I can solve it doing this, this, and this, and I solve the problem. There are so many times I've gone into a shrine or a puzzle room and just completely busted it with the shit in my inventory. Because you can still use like a lot of the stuff in your bags, and all that stuff that you're carrying, right? But also the tool sets that are laying around. Again, they don't limit you, so you can just do some wacky ass shit and break those shrines, which makes them fun, which makes them so you're not actually stuck there for too long and stuff like that, right? And you knock out a shrine and move on, knock out a shrine and move on. I never had this dread of walking in being like, oh, I gotta figure out this puzzle. I feel like a fucking idiot. Like there's maybe like one or two hard shrines I've bumped into out of like, I don't know, probably don't. I know the loading screen gives me the stat somewhere, but I probably 30, 40, something like that. And there's like 100 something. But hey, the shrines are a huge improvement. And I can show you, I guess you look at the map here, how many I've actually done. And yeah, it's all these little blue mountain things. And they're kind of just spread out. I've got a lot of the ones in the center and around here in the top right. But I do have a lot of exploring to do on the bottom right here. And there's some in the sky, and oh my god, that's another thing, but we'll get into it later. So, one of my biggest complaints in the original Breath of the Wild was like how I was describing the weapons. I felt like I had to hold on to things, right? The thing is, with the fusing system, now you can take a weapon, and most and they have like some dumb lore reason where like everything is rusted and molded over. All the weapons really suck. So really, weapons are there for like the little improved flurry rush, right? That's what this good weapon is good for. But its damage is terrible. What you want to do is they give you so many options in the game, and you can sort your inventory by attack power. And what you can do is you have all these options to just stick something to your weapon and make it incredibly more powerful. So, and you can fuse by attack power. Here's a fire item, so I can have a fire sword. Here's an ice sword. I could put a lightning bulb at the end of my sword. And there's a ton of different things that give it different effects as you go out through the game. And so there's no longer that feeling of like, oh, I really got to hold on to this thing and not break it. Because you're just chewing through this shit because you're constantly killing. You're constantly getting these items that improve your attack power incredibly, and it makes you want to kill big guys and be like, oh, I need to kill like this guy for his fucking horn. I'm gonna slap that shit on my weapon. But it's obviously you see your upgrade in front of you. Wow, in the other Zelda game, they were like hidden away in chests and stuff like that. Now, like chests are a little bit less. They kind of replace the weapon. I mean, you still get unique weapons in chests, not as much. Now you get a lot of the Zonai artifacts to like build items and things like that. But so here, drop this. It's like a katana. It's a late game monster. Use it. Bam. Press Y, and like it's plus 16 attack on this 10 sword. It has 26 attack now. This sword is vastly improved. Probably like a mid-tier sword. So I'll use it on my general day-to-day stuff. Meanwhile, I have shit like this where I killed the boss. Weapon had extra durability. Attached to weapon has 52 attack. Gonna save this for bosses, but it's not so rare that like if I had to use it, I wouldn't, right? Because yeah, because I have so many items in my inventory that just could power the shit up out of stuff. Like all these things at the very end are higher attack power, and I have a vast trove of items to use for combat. So I think Weapon degradation is no longer a problem because I can just craft the weapons I want very easily. It's an incredible fix. I love it, and it makes me want to kill so. It just makes me want to kill everything in my path to collect every item. It's great. So the next thing I'm gonna look at my list here. The overall structure of the game, it does tell you, hey, go here, here, and here. Like, the structure of this game is a lot more linear. You do start off on a more a centered path, but it is, you do like a basically like a 4-hour tutorial, and we do have a YouTube video of us, or a live stream as well, of us doing it, of Bryce and I streaming it, where we do the very beginning of the game. It's like 4 hours long, 3 hours long. Do a couple shrines, they introduce all the mechanics to you. Right, it's pretty straightforward, linear. It's kind of like the plateau in the first game, but a little bit longer. But at that point in the first game, it was just like go kill Ganon, right? And then you find hints of like, hey, I need to go to these corners, maybe destroy these temples, fight the animal temples, which I only killed 2 of them in my playthrough because I hated the dungeon so much that I didn't even bother. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna get the Master Sword to kill Ganon. But anyways, in this, they're like, hey, go. You go to the center area, which is in front of the castle, and they're like, hey, you Link, it's awesome, you're back. Here's 5 areas I need you to go to. Go check it out. There's some weird shit going on. There's been sightings of certain people there. We need you to go to look. So it's not, hey, they at least give you a direction, right? It's like, hey, which spot do you want to hit immediately? Which is kind of like the first game, right? But they didn't mark it on your map, really. And you go, you know, you see all your favorites, you see your boys, and I really like there's a lot more voice acting and sense of story and cutscenes in this, and plot, and some of the things that happen to certain characters in this game is actually kind of shocking and cool. I don't know how it's gonna pan out at the very end, but I thought it was like, oh, that's a really brave thing for this character to do. This very important, iconic character that we've seen for years, who's always been on the sidelines, did probably one of the most important, coolest things in the game and the history of Zelda. It was a huge sacrifice. I think that's awesome. And I'm glad how I found it was by exploring, and then they leave this breadcrumb trail for me. So I think overall, like, my investment in the story is way higher. The little individual situations that's happening, is you're joining a world that got ruined by Ganon after he woke up, right? So you're going to all these familiar places, and they're, after you play Breath of the Wild, they were so beautiful. You go back to these places and they're fucking devastated, and you're there to solve their problems, and you go to each one, and after you solve each one's problem, you gain a crew, man. You have a party in this game, and they're very powerful. Lightning Girl shoots lightning attacks with your arrows. The bird guy actually is the first one I got, which I'm so glad I got the bird one first, because in the air when you're flying, it just shoots a wind tunnel, so you can basically fly further. It's great. It's one of the most useful things in the game, and it made traveling areas so much better. So much better. Boulder Man is very the Goro. He's very good at hitting enemies. He attacks slow as shit, but when he hits an enemy, it's always gonna stagger them and knock them down. And then you can use them on your vehicle and like shoot them, and it'll break walls and shit, knock down enemies, do a big AoE fire. Fish Boy gives you a shield that'll take 1 hit, and when you swing, it'll shoot a water scar, or like a water slice that big. So put out fire. They're mobs that are on fire with them, right? And then there's this very special one you get at the very end, near the end of the game, which I don't really need to describe here, but it's really cool. It makes exploring this area where I am at, the depths, a lot more bearable, and that's what we need to talk about. So this game is the original game's map, but hey, it's been like 5-10 years or some shit. and there's ruins popping up everywhere. Lands are destroyed. Some of the geography has changed, but is essentially still the same map. Thing is that it is not the only map. So you got the fucking sky, which has a bunch of little sky islands, right? I thought there's gonna be way more of them, but there's not. And I'm glad that they actually do map them out so that you know exactly what you're working with here. But there's the fucking depths. The fucking depths, man. So the depths is a whole underground section of Hyrule, and it is the like basically the fucking same size. It is one art asset for the most part. There are geographical locations and variations in how it looks, kinda, but it's an underground fucking cave, right? Um, this place is hell on earth. It sucks to explore. It is pitch black. Where do I have to here? It is pitch black for anywhere you haven't discovered a light point yet, right? So out there is pitch black because I haven't found anything. One cool thing is that the shrines up above, right, correlate to the light points down below. So if you're ever like, hey, it's a good idea to explore the top a bunch so that you know exactly where the light points at the bottom are. Because man, sometimes even like just getting across, there's so many ravines and mountains and things that like even just going straight is really tough. And this is probably the place you're going to use your vehicles the most. The one I use the most is the plane, which I'll make a. I'm just gonna make a quick one here and just go out into the fucking darkness. Let's see. I have history. Yeah. Ooh, this is an expensive one. I'm just gonna go out into the pitch black nothingness and get shot out there. But yeah, this is the depths. I think it's a cool system. I like that there's this like super dangerous place that's super rewarding. Also, it's fucking dangerous compared to the rest of the game, or even more dangerous because there's a lot of gloom here, and with gloom you don't regenerate health. So, oh man, I think that's the side of a mountain I'm gonna just run into. Holy shit! Oh, I hit something. Yeah, I can't see anything. But yeah, the gloom sucks shit. I hate it. But I also had a lot of fun. It's addicting to like fill out the map and find all the light sources. But man, you could waste so much time just like literally pitch black nothingness, right? And you have items to, you know, make it easier, right? Or not easier, but light your way, right? So you have your light bulbs that you're constantly connecting in the world, and you know, you can throw them out and try to light up your path as you're trying to figure out where you need to go next, right? But I think the depths is a really awesome system. It is cool, but I think it just did not need to be as big as it is. It is fucking enormous. It is the exact same size as the top map, and this game is so fucking big. It is massive. But I think some people would really get to the depths, like, just, man, this isn't fun. I don't like wandering around in the pitch dark. Please help me. And I would honestly say, hey, collect and power up your Zonai energy balls or whatever the hell they're called, your batteries, so you can ride more vehicles, farm the materials down here, which they're down here, find a mine again, so you can just travel around here a lot easier. But yeah, the depths is required, and it's a fucking hellhole. I think it could be a negative on the game overall. I think it's just too big. That's like really my main negative of it. Is like I like the idea and like the fact there's all this treasure down here and items and things like that, pristine weapons. But it is too big, man. It is fucking massive, dude. Yeah, and yeah, and traveling, like, you can't just have a stroll in the depth, right? Like how you could, in Hyrule, just kind of, here, where's my hero path? Me running around like a jackass, just la di da di da di da. No, the depths is a shithole, and you have to be so focused, and you're disoriented, and you're just trying to figure out. Well, I know there's a light bulb over there, but there's a fucking mountain in my way. Where's the damn entrance to this cave? Yeah, a lot of time spent just wandering around pitch blackness, which is not too fun. But hey, uh, it is the newest thing of this game since it is the original map. But I think the I could barely remember the first map to begin with because it'd been so long. Uh, but hey, I had fun exploring all of the original map in Hyrule and the Sky Islands and doing all that stuff. It's great. Uh, and the last thing with the review is like the actual dungeons. Like there are actual dungeons in this game. They're a bit formulaic, right? It's like, hey, go to here, turn 5 switches on, figure out how to get around. And with some abilities and items, you can kind of just break the dungeons, right? Because you could climb on everything, or teleport up, or use a bird to fly, your bird boy to fly around everywhere. But I think that's the fun of it. I think the Tears of the Kingdom's biggest success is that it gives you some wacky ass powers, and they are fine with you just ignoring what they designed. It is that put the circle in the square hole meme, right? Put it in the square hole, put it in the square hole, and it's so much fun. It is so much fun, and I think that's his biggest victory. Honestly, there's so much of this game left that I haven't seen. So many side areas, dungeons, and puzzles. But for the most part, like the main quest, I've seen 9% of it. I am on the last mission at this point, but I'm just gonna stroll around, gather some more stuff, and then showdown with Ganon. And it's gonna be fun, man. I've had so much fun playing this game, and I did not like Breath of the Wild, man. I banged those dungeons at like 2 of the 4 dungeons out, and then it's like, man, fuck this. I'm not having fun. I'm just gonna spam shrines until I can get the Master Sword. Got the Master Sword. All right, let's go kill Ganon, and that's it. And I finished that game probably like in 30 hours, 30 hours or something. But yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is a vast improvement to the original game in every way. It is some of the most fun I've had in a very long time. Literally, the only negative is that it's on the Switch and it's not running at 60 FPS. But for the most part, the frame rate has been very consistent. And yeah, maybe the menus are a bit cumbersome, right? If I'm trying to like nitpick and think negatives, some of the menus are a bit cumbersome. Sometimes your allies, when you're trying to like talk to one of your allies to use an ability, are really hard to get to in certain boss fights, and then just make it super tedious and annoying. But there's always a workaround. There's always another item you can use or something to do what they intended for you to do. And again, that is its triumph, man. It is, hey, we've designed this game. Here's a bunch of shit where you could just break the game and figure your own way. And I like doing my own thing, man. I like just playing the game. So, hey, that's my review of Tears of the Kingdom. Again, I kind of just bent over the game for the most part because it is incredibly designed. And don't let anyone else try to assuage you of that just because it's like a Nintendo exclusive or something. It is not. No, it is an incredibly made game. It is one of the best games ever made. It lacks maybe like story things. Like there are things you can nitpick, try to be like, this is not the greatest game ever made. Yeah, but it's still really fucking good, right? It's still a 10. There's not many 10s you run into in life, and I don't think Breath of the Wild was one of them at all. But this one is right there, and it is so good. It is so fun. I am glad I spent so much of my time on it, and I want to spend more time with it. I think this game is the best Zelda game ever made. It beat Wind Waker for me, which is crazy. Um, and is like up there with like Elden Ring at this point. Elden Ring kind of did a lot for the industry to be like, go fucking have fun. Like, just go out there, have fun. And then this is a totally different style of game. It's still open world, but kind of in that same way of like, and just let the player play and have fun and give them the tools to have that fun. And it shows for it, man. So, hey, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Again, I am someone who very much did not like Breath of the Wild. I thought it was overhyped as hell, and over time, like, I feel like more people started to agree with me. But I cannot deny how much of an improvement Tears of the Kingdom. I wouldn't even bother playing Breath of the Wild, honestly, if you like had to play both. This one is so much better. You can play Breath of the Wild, power through it, just so you could get like the story context, which is like there's barely any, and then come play this fucking masterpiece. This is Adrian from my channel Random Drop, and I will see you next. Bye bye.